From the plot of the film to Butler's new behind-the-scenes role, here's everything we know about Austin Butler's next film, City on Fire. Austin Butler made headlines in the past year thanks to his critically acclaimed turn as Elvis Presley in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. The public couldn't get enough of him. He was nominated for an Oscar. He couldn't get rid of his Elvis voice. Whatever the man did, we heard about it the next day in the news. And now we're getting to see Butler back on the big screen in a huge new movie role that sounds very interesting. Austin Butler's next film is called City on Fire from Sony 3000 Pictures. City on Fire will be an adaptation of the book of the same name by Don Winslow. Butler is set to lead, and wait till you hear about his character. This new movie trilogy, which will follow the events of the 3 books in the series, tells the story of 2 rival gangs in New England. The books were inspired by the great Greek epic tragedies that we all know and love. Think the Iliad and the Odyssey, but set in the modern-day world that deals with gangsters rather than gods and nations. The movie will therefore follow the book's events, which also brings a late 20th century Helen of Troy into the picture. This new Helen of Troy forces the 2 rival gangs, one Italian and one Irish, to fully break out into war, all because of her. I've got a feeling this is going to be thrilling to watch. As for Butler, he's taking the role of Danny Ryan, the main character of the series. Danny is described as an aspiring gangster who will do whatever he has to in order to become a big gang leader. He'll do anything to protect those he loves, even if this means going against the mafia and law enforcement. Danny is a street fighter. He's no one but a man with plans to better himself. Illegally, of course. He wants to be on top, and his drive never seems to wane. So we really get to see a lot of Butler's Danny and see what he goes through over time as he fights for his dreams in New England. As this new movie series is set to follow the first book, we'll potentially have 2 other movies based on the rest of the trilogy, even though the whole book series hasn't even been released yet. Sony's plan is to make this entire series a movie trilogy, but we do know how these things fall through. After all, the first movie has to do well for Sony to return with another 2 to finish out the on-screen series. Regardless, the first movie alone could span decades. This means that we'll be able to see Butler's Danny Ryan grow from a mere nobody on the streets to a huge leading boss of a criminal enterprise. When movies span many years, we often get to really dig into the characters at the forefront. See what makes them tick and what their drive is. To see Butler take on this type of role will definitely be fun to see. And as an actor, it's likely a dream for him. We're not the only ones excited about seeing Butler take on this role that spans a character's entire life over decades. City on Fire's author, Don Winslow, is also pretty pumped. Winslow said about Butler's turn as Danny Ryan, "Like so many people around the world, I was amazed by Austin Butler's Oscar-nominated performance in Elvis.
Well, you may go to college.
I've had a number of conversations with Austin about this trilogy that I've been working on for almost 30 years of my life, and I have been deeply impressed by his commitment to playing Danny Ryan. The powers that be over at Sony also sound excited about this new Butler-led project. The president of Sony 3000, Elizabeth Gabler, said, "Don is an iconic novelist and a true master of the genre of suspenseful crime fiction, and has created one of the most memorable modern-day heroes in Danny Ryan, the complex and compelling protagonist of this trilogy. It is a dream come true to envision Austin, with his uniquely brilliant and charismatic talent, bringing this character and story to cinematic life. It seems everyone's excited to work with Butler. Luckily, he already has a relationship with Sony 3000 to lean on. Before Elvis came out, Butler began to turn heads after starring in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. In this 2019 film, Butler played Tex in what many consider to be his first major feature film breakout role, before his lead turn as Elvis, of course. So with his star attached to this new City on Fire project, Butler returns to Sony. Sony will therefore have a hand in continuing to usher in Butler's leading man career. Though he starred as the lead in Elvis, Butler hasn't had a major leading turn in a major motion picture until now. But let's not forget, we do have his co-starring role in the upcoming Dune Part 2 movie to look forward to. The sci-fi epic Dune is led by Timothée Chalamet. With City on Fire, Butler is the main lead, so it'll be entertaining to see him take on this huge responsibility. While we don't know too much about what we can expect from Butler's character in Dune, we do know that he's playing a villainous character. as Butler will be playing a man who will do whatever it takes to remain on top of a gang in City on Fire. A man who will likely be both good and bad. It'll be exciting to see Butler's villain role in Dune before ultimately seeing his complex Danny Ryan.
Where is our champion?
It's not just Dune we have to look forward to from Butler in the near future. After all, he has stayed busy after starring in Elvis. Butler will also star in Jeff Nichols' The Bike Riders opposite an ensemble cast that includes Jodie Comer, Norman Reedus, Tom Hardy, and Michael Shannon. Fans can also catch him in the new World War II set series, Masters of the Air, which is being produced by none other than Steven Spielberg. Masters of the Air continues the type of series that Spielberg began with The Band of Brothers and The Pacific.
But this war, our war, I have to believe.
The show will air on Apple Plus. While these are huge roles for Butler, they aren't necessarily the huge leading roles that a man who was just nominated for an Oscar expects. But that's, of course, where City on Fire comes in. Sony remains committed to him as the lead. Reporting believes that this will be a great moment for Butler to be attached to a major franchise from the get-go. He'll be learning about it all from the beginning. And he's not just the main star of this vehicle. Nope. Butler's also got a brand new title attached to his name on the movie set, as he's going to be a producer for the film, opposite fellow producers David Heyman and Shane Salerno. City on Fire therefore marks Butler's first foray into producer territory. This added behind-the-scenes role may only help his overall performance, as Sony has said he's been a part of the team from the very beginning. Just think, if Butler has had a hand in everything behind the scenes, this should only enhance his performance and make it more nuanced. He's been able to meet with writer Don Winslow, and Winslow has become impressed with him in these roles of producer and actor. Many actors have begun to become producers for the films they star in over the years. Butler is just the latest of the many. But it's interesting that this is such a high-budget, high-priority film, as many actors who step into producing sometimes like to stick to smaller, indie films at first. But Sony is taking a chance on this movie trilogy, as they are already meeting with potential writers and directors to really get the ball rolling. They want to start production on this movie as soon as possible. Both Sony and Winslow are also thrilled to have Butler as a producer on the film. Gabler said, "We are elated that venerable producer David Heyman, alongside Austin Butler, will join forces with Shane Salerno to make Don Winslow's spectacular trilogy, starting with City on Fire." As for Winslow, he stated that he's excited about Butler's passion to also produce the three films with David, Shane, Elizabeth, and Marissa. All in all, it looks like City on Fire is gonna be the one to watch out for. So from Butler's new behind-the-scenes role in his upcoming film, to the plot of the movie, this was everything we know about Austin Butler's next film, City on Fire.